Dear students, good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss issues in the design of code generator. Before we are moving to this topic, we should know what are the important functions of code generation phase. Code generator is the last phase of the compiler, already everyone known. And three important functions of the code generation phases. First one, this phase translates the intermediate representation into equivalent machine instructions. Second one, the memory locations are selected for a variables, that is identifiers present in a source program. Third one, the very crucial aspect of code generation phase is how we are going to select the register for storing variables. So these are the important functions performed by a code generation phase. So when we are going to design anything, the design has an input as well as output. For translating the input into output, we should perform some functions. So same kind of operation we are going to discuss here. What are the input of the code generation phase, what are the outputs, and what are the action we are going to perform to translate the input into output. In this slice, and the input of the compiler is input of the code generation phase is a intermediate representation that may be in a different forms, 3 address code, syntax tree, or DAG or something. The output may be a assembly language program or otherwise machine language program. For this conversion, we are going to perform this kind of activities. How we are going to use a memory to select the memory addresses, and how we are going to use the registers properly to store a variables, and what kind of instruction we are going to select, and what kind of order we are going to select to create a efficient target program. So this kind of operation we are going to use here. So now we are going to discuss one by one. And before that, you may perform any operation, but the correctness is very important. Correctness means you don't change the value of the output, that is meaning of the program. So you may perform, you are going to select any kind of register, any kind of instruction set or memory or anything else, but after conversion the correctness is very important. So next we are going to discuss what are the inputs, what kind of inputs we are going to provide to the code generation phase, and what are the possibilities. The code generation phase receive the input from the two phases of the compiler. One is the intermediate code generator, because intermediate code generator produce a intermediate representation to the input of the code generation phase. That intermediate representation is converted into equivalent machine program or otherwise assembly programs. The second input, that is code generation, get from the symbol table manager, because symbol table manager contains the information about the identifiers. Not only identifiers, the complete information about the identifier name, type, address, size, location, or something else. By using this information, the code generation phase convert the variables and identifiers, that is variables or identifier or as well as labels, into equivalent machine addresses. That's purpose the code generation phase always connected with the two phases, that is one is a intermediate code generator, another one is a symbol table manager. The input of the code generation phase is an intermediate representation, but intermediate representation has variety of formats. Next we are going to discuss. The intermediate representation has three kind of formats: linear representation, virtual machine representation, and graphical representations. In this topic, the postfix notation, 3 address code, that is in the linear representation, syntax tree, TAG in the graphical representation, we discussed more and more in the first unit, third unit, as well as last unit. The one of the intermediate representations bytecode. This also, so all of you know that what is bytecode and how it is useful in a Java language program. Java language use two kind of translator to translate the Java program into machine language program. First one is a Java interpreter. Java interpreter takes Java program as a input and produce a bytecode as output. But Java compiler takes this bytecode as an input and produce a equivalent machine instructions. Here the bytecode is used as a intermediate representation to the Java compiler. That's why this kind of intermediate formats are available, but more compared to other variety of intermediate representation, 3 address code is the most popular because 3 address code has two important properties that follows two important properties. One is that should be easy to produce and that should be easy to translate. So for this properties, most of the compiler use a 3 address code as a common code as an input to the code generation phase. Next, we are going to discuss what are the possible output for a code generation phase. Already, we all of you know that the output of the code generation phase may be a assembly language program or otherwise machine language program. But machine language program is classified into two types: absolute machine language program and relocatable machine language program based on where we are going to store the program. So there are three possibilities for the output of the code generation phase: absolute machine language, relocatable machine language, and assembly language program. When absolute machine language program as the output of the code generation means, suppose we are going to create a program, the compiler converts a program into equivalent machine instruction with a proper addressing. Once the address is assigned to the particular program, that program is immediately loaded into the primary storage, that is RAM, for immediate execution without performing any address modification. So that kind of program is called as absolute machine language program. Once the address is fixed, no need to perform any address modification when we are going to load a program in a primary storage. But when we are producing the output as a relocatable machine language program, once the same kind of operation we are going to perform, the program is created, the address of the program is created by the compiler. When the program is loaded into primary storage, the primary storage, that is operating system, check the memory that is fixed by the compiler is freely available or not. If it is freely available, load our program into primary storage for execution. If it is not freely available, we are going to load our program into the another location. That address is not fixed by the compiler. So here we need to perform some modifications. Suppose in my program, the address starts with the 2000. But in the memory location 2000 is not freely available. So I need to store our program into another location. Consider 2050. So now I am going to load our program into from 2050, the address from 2050. So I want to convert each and every instruction of my program. That is, my fixed address is 2000. My storing address is 2050. So I need to modify each and every address by adding 50 to produce a relocatable address. So this kind of machine language program is called as relocatable machine language program. Here, there is not a confirmation. Your program should be loaded into the address assigned by the compiler. Sometimes, not only sometimes, most of the times, your program should be loaded into different location. So compiler should perform some additional information, provide some additional information to perform the relocations. So this kind of program is called as relocatable machine language program. But most of the compiler perform this kind of activities to perform the relocations. And last one is assembly language program. when we are producing the output as assembly language program, but process is very easy because it consists of a variety of mnemonics and operands we are going to use as per the user view. But when we produce a assembly language as a output, we need an assembler to produce a to translate the assembly language into equivalent machine code. So three kind of outputs are possible for a code generation phase: assembly language program, absolute machine language program, and relocatable machine language program. So based on our purpose, we are going to produce outputs. Next, we are going to discuss the memory management. Already we discussed the second important function of the code generation phase is the memory location for identifiers present in a source program should be selected. For selecting this memory addresses, we need to use the information from the symbol table manager, because symbol table manager contains all the information about the identifier as well as the other attributes like memory location, size, and data type of the particular identifiers. By using this information, we can easily translate the symbol table address into the original address in the primary storage. For that purpose, the every memory management use a symbol table manager to produce a address of the any identifier present in a source program. And very important is when we are going to generate an address of the variable, there is no problem because all the informations are available in a symbol table manager. Like int a, so a is an integer variable. So by using this information, the integer size of the integer is 2 bytes, and we are going to add the memory address by 2 to store integer variables. But when we are going to generate a memory location for labels, that is, labels always attached with goto statements. There are two kind of goto statements. That is, address calculation is performed by for labels. One is a backward reference, another one is a forward reference. Backward reference means, consider here, when we are going to encounter the statement go to I, the address of that is the statement of the I is before the go to statements. So whenever the compiler generate a address for a go to I means the address is already that is computed by the compiler. So this statement is easily replaced, the equivalent machine code of the go to as well as equivalent address of the I. I come to the forward reference. J go to I. In this place, the compiler doesn't know about the address of the I because I is referred here. So in this place, compiler just replace the go to statement by the equivalent machine address. Just to leave the address space of the I. Just to give the empty spaces to the address space of the I. Whenever the compiler knows after reading n number of statements, the compiler reaches the statement I. Now the compiler produces the address for I. This time compiler going to replace the empty place that is generated for the address of the I. Now the compiler replace the empty place by the address of the I. This kind of process is called as backpatching. So when we are going to perform backward reference, we don't worry about the address calculation because compiler already calculate the address of the label. But when we are going to calculate the address of the forward reference, we should wait. So when we get the details about the particular address of the particular variable, we are going to fill the address that is defined previously. That kind of operation is called as backpatching. We are going to back to fill the details. So when we are going to perform the memory management, the conversion of the memory address is very easy because all the informations are in a symbol table manager. But when we are going to perform the memory conversion for the labels, there are two kind of references, backward as well as forward. The forward is a very difficult. We should wait to fill the information. But backward reference is very easy because the address of the label is already selected. So next we are going to discuss instruction selection. The first function of code generation phase is the code generation phase translate the intermediate representation into equivalent machine instructions. For this purpose, we need to select the proper instructions, because already we have discussed about the one template, one intermediate representation, that is one 3 address code is replaced by the 2 or 3 machine instructions in the first unit. So for that purpose, we are going to select the proper instruction from the available instruction set. In this topic, there are the many factors affect the selection of the instructions. The uniformity, completeness, instruction selection, and machine idioms. So these are the very important factors when we are going to select the instructions from the instruction set. The uniformity and completeness means, suppose we are going to add some variables. We are going to use the add a comma or not. The meaning of this statement is the value of the a is added, the value present in the r naught, and the result is also stored in a r naught. In this place, the a is an integer variable because we are using the odd as a mnemonic code. Suppose a is a float variables, we need a same kind of mnemonic code without doing very much of modification. Just we are going to use the add f. Add f is the instruction mnemonic code that is used to add the floating variables, that is floating number into the another variables. So this is called as a uniformity and completeness. For performing integer, we are going to use a mnemonic as a add. When we are going to perform the floating operation using the same mnemonic code with a f for a easy identifications. So every language, that every compiler has an instruction set that has a mnemonic code for a particular operation for all kind of number format and all kind of variable sets. So this kind of called as uniformity. Second, we are going to discuss the instruction selection and machine idioms. Already we discussed INC instruction mnemonic code in many topics. What is the use of INC means? They increment the variable. For incrementing the variables, normally we are going to replace the single machine instruction code into 3 kind of machine instructions. But when we are using the INC means we are going to replace only one code. Each and every 3 address code is replaced by the only one code. That should be discussed in the next slide. Consider the code x equal to y plus z. Consider this is normally this is considered as a template for any 3 address code. The x equal to y plus z is already in a 3 address code format. That should be replaced by the 3 kind of machine instructions. That is, first you should move the value of y into the register and perform the addition operation with the z, and then result is loaded into the x. So each and every 3 address code is replaced by the 3 equivalent machine instructions. But consider the statement a equal to b plus c, d equal to a plus e. In this statement, the first one is replaced by 3 number of statements and second one is replaced by the 3 number of statements. Come here. See the third statement and fourth one. Move r0 comma a. That means the value in a register r0 is loaded into a. Come to the fourth statement. Move a comma r0. The value of a is loaded into r0. The third and fourth statement has the same meaning. That is a duplicate statement present in a next line. When we are going to replace the 3 address code into the machine instruction template, this kind of problem will rise. So when we are going to perform replacement operations, we should check whether the code is the efficient or not. For the efficient process, we are going to select the faster instructions, or otherwise we are going to perform some replacement to create an efficient program. So when we are going to perform the instruction selection, we should consider this kind of operations. To increase the speed and size of the instructions, we are going to select the proper instructions from the instruction set. And this one is already we discussed. A plus plus can be easily replaced by the INC A. Suppose we are not using the INC code, means we need to translate the A plus plus by the three kind of machine instructions. Next we are going to discuss the register allocations. The last important function of the code generation phase is how we are going to efficiently use the registers in the architecture. Because searching the variables present in a register is very faster than the variable present in a memory locations. That's why we are going to use a register to store a variables. For that purpose, we are going to discuss two important functions, that is subprograms: register allocation and register assignment. Consider the scenario. Consider the variable A, B, C. A is present in a R0, B is present in a R1, and C is present in a R2. And your architecture contains only 32 registers. Now, the three registers are occupied, R0, R1 and R2 are occupied. The remaining R3 to R31 registers are free. And three variables are loaded into the registers, that is A, B, C. Now we are going to discuss two important subprograms, register allocation and register assignment. Register allocation means during which we select a set of variables that will reside in a register at each point in a program. When we are going to perform, come to this slide, the move, consider the first one, move A, R0. Suppose in this statement we are going to load the variable value of A into the R0. Before we are going to perform, we should check the value of the A is already present or not. If it is present, don't perform this statement. We directly move into the OR statements. For that purpose, we are going to use a register allocations. We should check whether each and every time the particular, before we are loading the particular value into the register, we should check the particular value, that is variable, already present in a register or not. That is called as register allocation. Already the variable is allotted for a register. Second one, register assignment. Already we discussed there are 32 number of register. Register R1, R2 and R3 are allocated. The free available registers are R3 to R31. So these are the register available to load any variables. So that is called as register assignment. The free variables are mostly assigned to load variables, not occupied registers. So by using this informations, we can allot the proper register, whether it is freely available or occupied, and what are the informations are already loaded in the registers. These informations are easily gathered from the available registers. Next we are going to discuss, for register allocation, sometimes we need to store two number of register for a single operation. For consider this example, div x comma y. The x and y, before we are going to perform this operation, the x and y should be loaded into the registers. For loading two variables, we need a pair of registers, that is register pairs, to store a operand as well as, first we are going to store two operands into the registers. Register pair means there are two two register. One is a add register, another one is a event register. In add register, we should store a value of x. In the event register, we should store a value of y. When we are going to perform this operation, do x comma y, there are two result will be appear. One is a quotient, another one is a remainder. To storing two outputs, we need a two register or otherwise register pair. The register result, that is quotient, will be loaded into the one register that is already created. Next, remainder will be loaded into the one of the register in a register pair. So some operation returns two kind of outputs. For that purpose, we need to allocate two number of registers, like add register and event registers. First, the add and event registers are used to store a x and y value. After performing this operation, these two registers are used for to storing two kind of result, that is quotient as well as remainder. So when we are going to perform operation, we need to check whether single register or otherwise double registers are used to store a values. When we are going to perform add and subtraction operation, we need single kind of operations. Sometimes multiplications needed to two register, and division also. Every time the division operation takes two kind of register, storing as well as storing the operands as well as storing the result. Next, finally, we are going to discuss evaluation order of the program. We can change the evaluation, that is execution order, to create our program as a efficient one, but without changing the meaning. That is evaluation order. You no need to start the program step by step operations. Sometimes we need to change the execution order to make your program as a efficient one. Suppose the changing of the order affect the meaning of the program, means don't perform any optimization in your programs. But the selection order to create your program as a efficient program is very tedious one, because this operation is considered as a NP complete program. That means the very toughest task to change the evaluation order to create an efficient program. And after performing all the operations, your input is converted into the equivalent outputs. But final, we discussed from in the starting slide, our aim is to produce a correct code, not even a efficient code. Our aim is to produce a correct code, but you may perform anything. You may select any register, any memory location, or any instruction set. Your code may be a efficient code or not, but your code should produce a correct output from the input. That is our final aim. That is the approach to the code generator. So this topic we discussed. What are the issues when we generate a code generators? What are the input possibilities? What are the output when we are going to select the correct output and the input? And what are the functionality? That is memory management, register allocation, instruction selection. In what way these operations are performed to convert the input into the output. Okay, thank you students. If you have any doubts, message me or call me. Thank you.